Hey there, welcome to my channel. Recently, I posted a video on TikTok. Let me explain. Tova's gonna give you her phone and you're gonna read these words one by one to us, and we're gonna try not to laugh, okay? No, you just say them.
Skip the toilet and I have sick mouth, really, fun and doing person, never have that alpha, knocking, knock out, Susie back out.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. That happened to go viral. And from that viral video, I got a lot of questions about being a CODA. I didn't realize that this was something that people were interested in, if I'm gonna be honest. I should have assumed because of that movie CODA that came out, but I was just like, oh yeah, it's just like a part of my life, but it's actually like a huge part of my life that has shaped me hugely. And so I thought, you know what? I actually wanna lean into this and answer a lot of questions about this because it really has made me a lot of who I am today. So this is that Q&A you've all been waiting for. I have a lot of questions written down and I'm probably just gonna blabber the whole time. So grab some popcorn, get comfy, buckle up, and let's get started. I have written down all of the questions on my phone and the user. So I'll say the name of the user, the question, and then I will answer. The first question is from my friend. Her name is Seema. She is a very sweet woman. And she said, how much of the extended family knows ASL? There is one person in the extended family that knows ASL on both my mom and my dad's side. On my dad's side, his brother knows ASL and that's it. However, the rest of his siblings or some of the sibling spouses dabble, they know a few words here and there, or they took a class in college or took a class in high school, so they can still communicate with him fine. Also, my dad doesn't actually need ASL to communicate. He grew up doing a lot of speech therapy and he didn't even learn ASL till he was 19 or older even. So yeah, he's just really proficient in reading lips, hence why he talks so well. But yeah, nobody knows ASL. It's just our family, one of his brothers, and then the rest know some sign. And that's about it. I got this question after I was already editing the video, but the question is, did my husband, well, they said boyfriend, but he's not my boyfriend, he's my husband. Did he learn sign? He did not, but he knows enough to communicate with him. And like I said, he reads lips really well, and he tries to pick it up anytime we're together and whatnot. So I think it's gonna come with time, but we're definitely gonna work on that. And also I want my kids to know sign. It was really cute for a while to see my grandparents try to learn ASL in their old age and see the family learn ASL for my dad. It didn't work out. They're kind of old and it's hard to learn so late in life if you're not in it all the time or super diligent with it all the time. But it was still sweet and any effort is appreciated, honestly. The next question is from my friend Bree, and she said, what is your favorite thing about having a deaf dad? That is a hard and loaded question because it's hard for me to separate out the greatest thing about having a dad that is deaf. I can think about great things about my dad, but specific to the deafness, that's something that I have trouble distinguishing because it's all I know. But I do think that I have been given rich perspective on life and on people, and I do feel as though that has come from the deafness itself, as well as how lighthearted and giggly. He is somebody who will just joke around, for example, and that might just be a dad thing, but his joking is aimed towards his deafness. Yeah, so for example, my dad knows he sounds funny. He's just yeah, I can't hear. I'm not gonna sound like a hearing person. That's just impossible. But he calls himself Chewbacca and he's yeah, I talk like Chewbacca. It's just this joke. Everyone calls him Chewie. It's just a funny thing. So I just love how lighthearted and giggly and we always laugh when we're all together. And he just likes to make fun of himself and we all make fun of each other and it's just fun and it's not a big deal. No one's offended. It's just lighthearted. And that is another thing I really love about having a deaf dad. This user, I'm sorry, I'm not really sure how to say your name. I would say Jesus, but it's with a G. G-E-S-U-S. I'm just gonna say Jesus. I think it's Jesus. Jesus said, do you ever accidentally sign when talking to hearing people? Yes. Yes, I do. It's like, I don't realize I'm doing it. I kind of just sign a lot when I talk or like when I'm trying to communicate something, or I just kind of like always have my hands moving when I talk, if you literally haven't noticed. But yes, I have done that. So I know also Spanish. I think I do that more often with Spanish. Honestly, I think I do it with all of the languages because they all just kind of mix together in my brain. And there's some things I can express in sign that I can't in English, and some things I can express in Spanish that I can't in sign or English. It just like, I just like mix them all up all the time. Brooklyn says, was it difficult to learn ASL? So in my mini Q&A that I posted on my TikTok, I said no, because I was cheating because it's my first language. That answer still holds. I like didn't have to learn ASL. My mom is an interpreter and my dad obviously is deaf. And so and I'm the firstborn. So in the home that I was raised in, we like only signed. And I learned like verbal English. I'm sure my mom did a little of that with me, but I mostly did a lot of that at school. Yeah, I never really had to learn ASL, but I applaud people who do. However, if you are seeking out ASL, I am in signing time. So definitely check out signing time. You'll know, it's like, I like apples on my pizza. I like apple pizza, please. I am in that. And so is one of my siblings. Something interesting is as our family grew, less sign was used because there were more hearing people in the home. So then there was a lot more verbal communication. So the amount of sign language I used in the house is different than the amount of sign language my youngest sibling learned. It's just like a whole spectrum in our home, but I never had to learn ASL. This next user, ISSY, Issy, I don't think it's Izzy. If it's Izzy, I'm sorry. Issy said, is there anything you miss out on because of your dad being deaf? Yes. Yeah, I do. My whole family, we're very musical, and obviously my dad's not. So like he doesn't get to hear us sing or like hear the music we're dancing to or hear like our laughter and things like that. However, none of that really makes me that sad. Only if I like think about it super hard or I have something big coming up that, yeah, that'll kind of like bum me out. I think it means even more to me that he's supportive in those things, like when he shows up to when I'm dancing or when he's like listening to us sing or letting us sing, because he like can't hear it. So the fact that he can't hear it and he's showing up, I think means so much more to me than if he could, if that makes any sense. Honestly, I think there's just like a net gain from having a deaf dad. Like, yeah, there's other things, like sometimes he doesn't like understand what we're saying, not because like of a communication error, but because of like social cues that he doesn't pick up on because of his deafness. But that's just taught us to be really blunt and really straightforward. So it's like there's give and take, but yeah, that's a good question. Next question, how did you learn ASL? Oh, this is by Madeline Whitfield. How do you learn ASL? I started on an app, but then it wanted me to pay and I really didn't want to pay because I'm in high school. Valid. I admire your dedication to learning sign. I think taking classes is something really helpful, and you can also really immerse yourself in the world of like, in the deaf community. Like there's always activities and groups, like you can find them on Facebook or have your mom help you find them on Facebook, or go to like, there's some congregations of churches that are like all sign language, just like going and attending those and meeting people. I think those are all things that can be super helpful when learning ASL. I also know YouTube has like tons of good videos. So just look those up and don't be afraid to just like piece them together and make a mistake. It's okay, like everyone feels awkward and uncomfortable when they're learning a new language. Jesus again, my guy, how did he lose his hearing? He's a very pure and happy guy, it seems. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. Honestly, my dad, blissfully unaware, like the happiest man like in the world. I genuinely have not met anyone happier. He's just kind of like vibing all the time. So has it been hard on him? If it is, then he doesn't know it. Like he's just like such a happy guy. And there's been aspects of his life that have been hard, but like similar aspects in anyone's life can be hard. But he lost his hearing as an infant. He got really, really sick and it ruined the nerves in his ears. So there's two different types of deafness. There's nerve deafness and conduction deafness. Conduction is when the bones in your ears are a little wonky so that sound doesn't travel. But nerve deafness is like the nerves in your ears that communicate from your ear to your brain don't relay. And that's what he has. He doesn't even remember ever hearing. I think that it would be a little harder for people to go deaf like later in life. His experience, not that way. Kate Peterson said, how do deaf people learn to speak if they can't hear the words? This may sound like a dumb question, but I am genuinely confused. Not to be rude. Your dad seems amazing and a loving father. Well, thank you. And you're not being rude. It's just you're curious and that's totally fine. There is a lot that goes into learning to speak. And for my dad, in the time he was born, there was a huge divide between like, for deaf people, between like hearing world and the deaf world. Like you either like went to speech therapy and you were immersed into like a hearing school and tried to get by, or you went to a deaf school and learned ASL. Like there was this huge divide. His family chose to put him this route, and so he spent so much of his time in tutoring and speech therapy, which I think really paid off because he really speaks quite well for a deaf man. Growing up, I didn't realize that like he talked so odd until I started inviting friends over and people couldn't understand him, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's just my dad. But now as I got older, I was like, oh, like sometimes people can't understand that. I just couldn't understand how someone couldn't understand what he was saying. But a lot of speech therapy is learning about where to place your tongue, like where to apply pressure, where to like, you can like feel where vowels and words are in your throat and in your mouth. So speech therapy is a lot of that. In my experience, at least, a lot of the deaf people I know, because they are down, you know, one of their senses, a lot of their other senses are like heightened. So my dad, for example, he's getting old, so they're not as good anymore. But growing up, he had really good eyesight and he was really sensitive to like feeling. For example, if he were to try to learn to say a word, he would feel like where that word is. And because he's so sensitive to it, it makes it a little easier for him to understand where to place it in his mouth. Feel that it's on his lips. So it's a lot of like that type of stuff in learning to speak. So it is long and arduous, and I am so happy he did that as like a young kid, because that would be really hard as an adult. Next question from Frowny Face. Are you okay? Do you need me to call someone? Frowny Face says, hi, I don't mean to be rude, but can he get hearing aids? Once again, not rude, just a question. He has them. He just doesn't like them. He doesn't use them. He doesn't really need to. Sometimes if he's at work, he'll use them, but like, I mean, he doesn't really need them. Jess, he speaks really well. Has he always been deaf? No, deaf as an infant. Okay, William to Rizzy. Hi, so recently my cousin was born deaf and they are getting her implants to hear, but I still want to learn ASL. Do you have any tips? Boy, do I. I already mentioned like getting immersed in the community, but really, I think you just need to put yourself out there. No one that is worth being in your life is going to make fun of you for putting yourself out there and making a mistake and saying something dumb in sign language. Really let that embarrassment factor of language just like throw it out the window. If you are learning words in sign, just try to use them like every day. Just put them into conversation, and if you put them together weird or wrong, or the grammar is wrong, or you feel awkward, or your hands look really stiff, like that's okay. Literally, that's totally fine. That is just what happens. You just keep doing it, and people will, one, it'll start to come more naturally, and two, people appreciate that effort anyway. So I think you're gonna do great. That was like the majority of all your questions. I hope that answered it, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say and what more questions you have. And I'm excited to talk more about my experience as a CODA. Stay tuned and keep following along, and I can't wait to get to know you guys better as you guys get to know me better. And I love you all, and I'll see you later.